Well, Sean, Congress is expected to vote on the Equality Act this week. This bill would add sexual orientation and gender identity as protected class, much like race and religion are right now. And the Equality Act would also limit federal religious freedom protections, which currently allow businesses and organizations to deny services to those that conflict with their religious beliefs. Joining us today to talk about all this is the director of the Richard and Helen DeVos Center for Religious and Civil Society at the Heritage Foundation, Emilie Kao, and the vice president of U.S. Litigation and senior counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom, David Cortman. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, David, I'm going to start with you. Sean and I were discussing this earlier. Where is the line here? You know, we have freedom of religion in America, but how can a person actually operate their business in accordance with their faith and not offend others? I know that the Alliance Defending Freedom is currently representing a case called Arlene's Flowers versus Washington State. What is the issue here, and how common is this?
Yeah, I mean, it's very common. And the answer to your first question is that every person should be treated with dignity and respect. But at the same time, we have to make sure that everyone's constitutional rights are watched over and cared for, no matter what your beliefs are. And Baronelle Stutzman, as you mentioned, she serves everyone in her floral business. In fact, the person who sued her was a best friend of hers. But someone shouldn't be forced to violate their religious beliefs about supporting messengers or engaging in events that violate their beliefs. And I think there is a line that you could draw, but you got to respect everybody's rights when you're doing it.
I doubt they're two close friends right now, but that's just a guess. Emilie, you know, they do this in Washington all the time. They call it the Equality Act. Everyone's like, oh, that sounds great. What are you guys doing to get the word out to members of Congress about what this bill means in terms of business and how people go about living their lives?
Well, thanks for talking about the Equality Act. It is really important that Americans understand that what it does is actually it creates inequality by imposing a sexual orthodoxy on the entire nation. And it would affect not only businesses and religious employers, it would also affect children and their parents. It would impose a destructive gender ideology on children in education and in medicine. And that's one reason why the Heritage Foundation has been involved in the Promise to America's Children, which states 10 principles to protect children's minds, bodies, and relationships with their children. And the Equality Act pretty much violates all the principles in the promise. And that's why lawmakers and parents are uniting around it and pushing back against the Equality Act.
David, how do we protect our First Amendment rights, and how do we protect the rights of the majority here to make sure everyone is happy, or is there a world when not everyone's happy?
Yeah, I don't think happiness is the right result that we should be going for. I think it's respect of the Constitution. And we talk about instances of what laws like the Equality Act and the repercussions they cause. You know, people have heard about the young women in Connecticut that in track and field you have a young man who identifies as a girl and has taken away their podium chances, their scholarships, all opportunities for women. We've heard about women's shelters. We represented a homeless shelter in Alaska, where the city was using these type of laws to force them to have biological men sleep 3 feet away from women who have been trafficked and abused. And so that's why we have to draw the line and say, look, we have to understand what these laws are doing. As Emilie said, they're not equal. They're creating more violations of privacy, of religious freedom, and that's why they're a problem.
You know, Emilie, it sounds to me like these kind of bills pass with a majority in the House, right? So if it passes the House tomorrow with Democratic support, which they have the numbers to do, is the game in the Senate for you guys, or do you actually think you can pick off so-called moderate Democrats in the House?
Well, I think that a lot of the focus will be on the Senate and on the filibuster, maintaining the filibuster. But we are hopeful that eventually there will be more Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard, who, before she left, she introduced a bill to protect women and girls sports. Because this is a bipartisan issue. You can see that there are many people on the left, people like Martina Navratilova, people like J.K. Rowling, Tulsi Gabbard, who want to stand up for women and girls because it's clearly going to erase women and girls from the law if you can just say that you identify as a woman. If you, Sean, could, just one day say you identify as a woman, then you could enter into any women's space, any women's athletic competition. And that's simply unfair. So we want equality for everybody, but the Equality Act imposes inequality. It treats some of us like second-class citizens.
David, this bill is expected to be voted on Thursday. If it does pass for whatever reason, what are the options for religious organizations and companies to continue to fight back? How can they do so?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has to take a stand. If we remember Obamacare with the Affordable Care Act, laws like these would require abortifacients to be in the health plans of churches and religious organizations. So the idea is you got to take a stand, whether it's through the legislature, if that doesn't work, through the court system, because our constitutional rights are too valuable just to let the majority just push them aside for political views. And so that's exactly right. People have to be educated, as Emilie said, and know it's not just the title. It's not equality. What's really going on here is harming women, harming privacy, harming religious organizations. And that's what's really at issue.
Real quick, we're out of time, but both of you, if someone wants to learn more about this, Emilie, I'll start with you. Where can they go?
Well, they can go to our website, heritage.org. They can also visit the promisetoamericaschildren.org. And we will be having a Facebook rally tomorrow at 10 a.m. with the Family Policy Alliance on exposing the harms of the Equality Act.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.